James Garner was charming, witty, and laid back. He kept his Charles Bronson thoughts a secret for years. For decades, the truth was unknown. What happened between these Hollywood legends? In this surprising confession, James Garner shares his true feelings regarding Charles Bronson and his early life. James Garner, known for the Rockford Files and Maverick, was born in Norman, Oklahoma, on April 7, 1928. Growing up was difficult, and many of his terrible experiences shaped the powerful, honest roles he ultimately played. When James was 5, his mother, Mildred Bumgarner, died, one of the worst tragedies a child can suffer. Losing her so young broke his heart. His father, Weldon Bumgarner, struggled with bereavement and raising James, Jack, and Charles alone. Weldon remarried, but the boy's stepmother was nasty. James later called her physically and emotionally abusive. Never forgetting his hardships at her hands helped him grow up faster than most youngsters his age. By teenhood, James was fed up. He left home to find himself. It was hard. He worked odd jobs like pumping gas and oil field work to survive. Life was hard, but James persisted. He was motivated to succeed. These early hardships inspired him to persevere. He developed a calm resilience that would show up in several of his roles. As World War II ended, James joined the Merchant Marine. As a youth, he delivered supplies across the seas on long, difficult expeditions. After the war, he tried education and jobs, but nothing fit him. James again served in the early 1950s Korean War. He joined America, Army's 5th Regimental Combat Team. Garner's Army career was difficult. He experienced genuine warfare and peril. He was twice wounded in the war and received 2 Purple Hearts, a rare medal that demonstrated his sacrifice. A shrapnel wound to his hand and face, and friendly fire from U.S. planes injured him. James persevered through pain and peril. He was deeply affected by Korea. It deepened his awareness of bravery, commitment, and tenacity. James Garner's real-life experiences set him apart in Hollywood. He didn't need to act tough. He was hard. He showed it in his mannerisms, speech, and treatment of people. That realness showed in his roles as a smart-talking cowboy in Maverick and a wisecracking private eye in the Rockford Files. Audiences trusted him because he wasn't acting. He lived it. Early difficulties with bereavement, abuse, survival, and war shaped James Garner into one of Hollywood's most respected and adored performers. His modest strength and humility made him relatable to regular people. That helped him remain popular for decades. On and off film, audiences trusted him. An unforeseen twist propelled James Garner to success, while life kept giving him curveballs. He became an actor practically by accident. From Maverick to icon, James Garner never wanted to perform. He almost entered show business by accident. His goal after the Korean War was to find steady work. James modeled for a while when a friend advised it. He made some money modeling bikinis and other clothes, but he never felt comfortable in front of the camera. Modeling didn't suit him. During this period, a talent agency saw James's look and attitude for acting. James initially doubted it. Acting was new to him, and he had no training. He tried it with minor roles and learned as he went. He was an extra and studied more seasoned actors from the sidelines. He gradually got tiny roles in TV and cinema. Casting directors and viewers noticed his charisma and authenticity. The 1957 television series Maverick gave James Garner his big break as Brett Maverick. The position changed everything for him. Maverick was unlike other westerns on TV. The majority of cowboys were stern and fast to draw their rifles. Brett Maverick differed. He was smart, affable, and preferred to solve conflicts with logic rather than violence. Garner played a new kind of hero who used wit, comedy, and fast thinking. Audiences adored it. Maverick was a TV favorite due to James Garner's laid-back charm, pleasant smile, and quick timing. He didn't act tough. His relatability and humanity set him apart. From 1957 until 1962, Maverick made Garner famous. Garner excelled in film after his TV stardom. One of his first major film appearances was The Great Escape. World War II film depicts Allied captives preparing a huge escape from a German camp. Garner, as the delightful scrounger, proved himself with Steve McQueen. His performance proved he could flourish on film and TV. Success continued in movies. Garner and Julie Andrews faced up in a touching and amusing tale of war, love, and morals in Americanization of Emily. Critics complimented his compassion and depth in the part. Garner showcased his flair for comedy and timing in Move Over, Darling, a romantic comedy opposite Doris Day. Murphy played a gentle older widower opposite Sally Field later in their romance. His performance garnered him a Best Actor Oscar nomination, confirming his ageless brilliance. The Rockford Files, starring James Garner as Private Detective Jim Rockford, was one of his most memorable roles. This show revolutionized TV private detectives. Rockford was smart, humorous, and sometimes unlucky, not a tough guy with steel knuckles. He lived in a trailer, took little cases, and experienced many difficulties. Garner fully embodied Jim Rockford, and fans immediately bonded with him. The unusual acting technique of James Garner contributed to his fame. He played and became a character. He was instantly liked for his charm. His wit lightened and humanized serious scenes. Most importantly, he was emotionally genuine. Because James Garner drew from his own life, his character's fears, joys, sorrows, and frustrations were real. His acting and effort were restrained. He followed his instincts and became a star for centuries. Despite their laid-back charm, there were severe struggles. Next, we'll examine James's off-screen problems and his fight for Hollywood justice. Charles Bronson versus James Garner. Charles Bronson and James Garner met on The Great Escape in 1962. Both had successful careers, but they were extremely different. Their personalities were complete opposites. James Garner was easygoing, personable, and funny. He loved to joke between takes and unwind on set. In contrast, Charles Bronson was quiet, focused, and reclusive. He kept to himself and only spoke when necessary. First, Garner approached Bronson with his typical friendliness. He wanted everyone on site to feel comfortable. However, Bronson did not like small talk or casual friendships. Bronson's solemn, detached demeanor wasn't an act, Garner recognized. It was his nature. The two men felt awkward immediately. Garner initially liked Bronson but felt the strain. It was obvious they wouldn't be close buds. Both actors were skilled while filming. Their characters in The Great Escape were well matched. Garner played Hindley, the scrounger, who could find anything for the escape. Bronson played Tunnel King Danny, who dug the tunnels. Teamwork was needed in their scenes. They executed it well for the crowd. They cooperated and even befriended on camera. Behind the scenes, the collaboration was cooler. Garner later admitted to feeling uneasy around Bronson. Not only was Bronson reserved, he sometimes seemed hostile. Between takes, Bronson didn't joke or chat. He didn't interact with the cast like most. Garner struggled to connect with someone so guarded and resentful. Despite Bronson's performance, Garner couldn't ignore the tension. The scenario became clearer throughout filming. Garner felt like Bronson didn't respect or like him. Bronson tended to wall himself off, while Garner embraced honesty and openness. Garner grew uncomfortable with Bronson. Despite their professionalism, he never forgot how difficult the relationship was. Unspoken agreement existed between them. Instead of buddies, they worked together. Garner later described Bronson as resentful and combative, making collaboration impossible. Although they didn't fight on set, the tension made Garner's time on The Great Escape unpleasant. Their relationship will become more convoluted and turbulent after this initial conflict. The Great Escape revealed their differences, which would subsequently boil into open resentment that Garner would discuss years later. You'll see next that one explosive poker game will destroy Garner's tolerance with Bronson and change their relationship forever. Memoir. Revelation. James Garner hid his feelings for numerous co-stars for years. He preferred professional behavior to public antics. The Garner Files, his 2011 book, convinced him to speak the truth. And Garner didn't spare Charles Bronson. Garner openly said in the Garner Files that Charles Bronson was a pain, a rare moment of candor. Garner's feelings were still strong decades later. He was direct. He used and mistreated people, Garner said. Those few words showed that their issues on The Great Escape were more than personality clashes. Garner said Bronson wasn't quiet and serious. He thought Bronson mistreated people. Garner said Bronson took advantage of others and lacked patience and kindness. His actions contradicted everything Garner stood for. Garner respected everyone, from stars to newcomers. He practiced fairness and civility on and off screen. One vignette from Garner's memoir indicated how terrible things had gotten between him and Bronson. The Great Escape actor Garner recounted a poker game incident. Playing cards between scenes was frequent and helped pass the time. A young extra won money from Bronson during one of these games. Bronson refused to pay the young man when he due. Garner wouldn't stand by while injustice occurred. He confronted Bronson and demanded the extra payment. Garner thought everyone on set, no matter how minor, deserved respect. He considered it decency. Bronson was upset by the confrontation. After that argument, Bronson told everyone he would never work with Garner again, Garner said. Their ill feelings looked to be permanent after that poker session. From then on, they were clearly incompatible. Looking back, Garner didn't mind Bronson's dislike. Due to my outspokenness, some guys have disliked me throughout my life, he remarked. I never considered myself outspoken. I was honest. Garner was honest and righteous by nature. He could cope with making some enemies along the road. There was more to this tale than a celebrity feud. It highlighted their vastly different worldviews. Even in difficult situations, Garner emphasized fairness, kindness, and doing the right thing. Garner said Bronson was more about toughness and getting his way, even if it meant hurting others. Their conflict went beyond personalities. The plot involved two very different men sharing a set. One man refused to stay silent when he saw someone harmed, no matter who. Bronson's evil side, James Garner's struggles with Bronson, were common. It turns out Bronson has a history of Hollywood conflicts. David McCallum, another Great Escape co-star, was a hot topic. Bronson apparently fell for McCallum's wife, actress Jill Ireland, on set. Bronson informed McCallum, "I'm marrying your wife," according to many stories. It was astonishing to say, particularly since McCallum and Ireland were still married. Bronson's aggressiveness shocked several production insiders. The aftermath complicated matters. After nearly 10 years, David McCallum and Jill Ireland divorced in 1967. Jill Ireland married Charles Bronson in 1968, a year later. They were married until her 1990 death. Hollywood was curious in the timeline, even though it's difficult to know all that happened behind closed doors. It bolstered Bronson's reputation as harsh, straightforward, and unconcerned about others' opinions. David McCallum was gracious after the unpleasant event. In interviews years later, McCallum described the event with surprising serenity. "I don't recognize that," he said. When asked about Bronson's purported comment about marrying his wife, McCallum also denied holding a grudge. In one interview, he claimed, "I never despised him. Charlie was always friendly. McCallum said he wanted to resolve issues gently rather than with fury. His mature remark eased the tension. Despite McCallum's morality, Bronson's industry image was already clear. Many Hollywood insiders knew Bronson as unpleasant and remote. He appeared cold, quiet, and unapproachable on set. Bronson kept to himself, unlike other stars who liked talking to fans and co-workers. He intimidated some actors and crew members and seemed unapproachable to others. Bronson's rough background may have contributed to his distant demeanor. Bronson struggled before becoming renowned, growing up in poverty and working in coal mines. His difficult upbringing shaped him, strong, restrained, and occasionally closed. Though some sympathized with his terrible past, others battled with his treatment of others. James Garner, who valued justice, respect, and honesty, found Bronson aggravating. Garner hated mistreatment and spoke out against it. That's why Garner stood by his statement in his memoir years later. Garner recounted his experiences honestly. Garner versus Hollywood. James Garner was a superb actor with strong principles and honesty. Garner consistently prioritized justice, honesty, and doing the right thing, even when it was hard, throughout his career. His Warner Brothers case was a prime example of Garner standing up for his beliefs. In the late 1950s, Garner played Brett Maverick in the popular TV show Maverick. The concert was a hit thanks to Garner's performance. However, behind the scenes, things were bad. Garner was mistreated by Warner Brothers. The studio put him on unpaid suspension, saying he had no work, even though they kept rerunning previous Maverick episodes and profiting from him. Garner fought back because he understood this was wrong. He sued Warner Brothers for contract infringement in 1960. At the time, actors rarely worked with big studios. Most actors were afraid to challenge studios because of their influence. But Garner wouldn't be abused. He thought actors deserved respect and justice. Garner won the lawsuit, setting an industry precedent. The Hollywood industry is harsh, but his win showed that unfair treatment can be overcome. Rejecting Hollywood phoniness set James Garner apart. He didn't like the flash, glamour, or phony smiles of fame. Garner was honest. On and off screen, he was authentic, down to earth, and straightforward.